The Nigerian prince wants to give me more money.
There you go.
Or the email address domain doesn't look right.
Okay, good. So people are already very aware. That's great.
I go down to CVS and I said to my husband, wait a minute, call this other Con Ed number, because, you know, there are more than one numbers to Con Ed. And he called it. And I said, ask them, do they have to put your bill on a card? Because I've never heard that. And the guy says, no, it's a scam. I said, but it's coming from your Con Ed number that I obviously have in my phone, that I've reached you, so that it's an inside job.
Everyone, my name is Barbara, the president of the Brooklyn Club of the National Association of Negro Business and Professional Women's Clubs Incorporated. Welcome to the 2022 Cybersecurity Awareness Month program.
Recognizing the importance of cybersecurity to our nation, past President Obama designated October as National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. It is designed to engage everyone to be safer and secure online. It emphasized that cybersecurity isn't only a shared responsibility, it's an individual responsibility.
So make that a long, difficult password to crack.
And now we will hear from our presenter, Ms. Jack. Been an information technology professional for over 35 years, originally working internally with various global financial firms in New York City. For the last 25 years, she has worked as a sales engineer, helping customers solve their business problems using technology. The majority of her career has focused on security and protection-based solutions so customers can run their business safely and securely. Moira has a diverse experience in the security protection arena, which includes network, endpoints, and data protections.
Welcome this evening. I know we're all busy. So what we wanted to do, as I mentioned, we want to make you cyber smart. You know, technology is not going away. As a matter of fact, I always tell people who are like, well, I don't know about this technology. And I say to people, well, you've been using technology. Use paper and pen. That's a form of technology. But what we're dealing with here is more of the digital. So when you think back, about 10 years ago, most of us, it was our computer, desktop, laptop, or smartphone, laptop, tablet or printer. That's what our connectivity was. Chat, let's see what you have. We have home medical equipment. We have virtual assistants. How many of you use, I'm going to say her name and hope she doesn't respond behind me, Alexa or Siri or other types of personal assistants or virtual assistants, small, our smart appliances, smart TVs. That's a big deal there. Even our phones are over the internet. Surveillance. How many people here have? I don't know that. Okay, Alexa just spoke. She said, I don't know that. How many people here have home security where, I can monitor my home remotely and see what's going on, as well as, or a smart lock or doorbell where I can see who's at the door, maybe even let them in. Okay, I got a couple in here so far. It's a smart TV. We got smart appliances, smart home. We control our lights, our locks, our heating, or the temperature, the air conditioning. Literally everything that we deal with has become smart. I love that term. And when we consider this, our daily lives revolve around using the services that happen to operate across the internet. Many of them are even local. If I'm controlling my, the lights in my apartment, I'm here. That's more of a much more local interaction, although it may go back to server. But here, for example, we're on a collaboration activity on Zoom. You've got job search, electronic mail, research, just to name a few. If you look across this list, you can't even today, if you want to know how much money is in my Social Security or whatever is going on my Social Security, you've got to log on something. Judea mentioned earlier, she's already explained it, but it was officially created in 2004 as a way to recognized as a National Security Awareness Month, helping individuals protect themselves online as threats to technology and confidential data became more commonplace. Again, the definition, what is cybersecurity? What really is that? I'm going to expand this a little bit. We often talk cyber, mean what's going on across the internet, but honestly, it could be very local to your environment. In other words, I can have a home network and interact there or in my office, and that's not necessarily on the internet at that point, but it is interconnectivity, and any interconnectivity potentially could have a risk. So it's a measure taken to protect a computer or computer system as on the internet against unauthorized access or attack. That's the dictionary definition. So basically it's how do you protect your stuff? All right. We don't, just like your home, we put locks on the doors. We may have window guards. We've got, we subscribe to a security service. So think of this, we're going to be applying some of these same rules in our digital world. Well, what is the stats that we're seeing here? I think these numbers are a little low. You're saying 1 in 3 homes with computers are infected with malicious software. I don't know if they mean current or have been. That's probably right. You may have something on there and don't even know it. It could be a little benign. It could be a little benign, which happens. 65% of Americans went online, received at least one online scam offer. I will probably put that at 150% because I get about 20 a day. Does anybody here never receive some sort of scam email message or text or anything like that, through the phone? And just so you know, we're not just talking computer. We've been talking, these things that we walk around with, my supercomputer every day, every moment. Lost time. In other words, when you have an issue, if you get compromised, it could cost you money. And then the time to fix your problem. I mean, then that's invaluable. We can't get that back. It's ridiculous. $358 in 21 hours. 47% of the American adults have had their personal information exposed by criminal cyber crimes. Let's see, somebody put up here, phone calls, text message. Oh my God, daily is understatement. So I'm going to comment on the phone one in particular, because everybody thinks about just, my email or text. The phones, my parents' phones ring all day long. Somebody with some scam about something. So I think we have to recognize the challenges are a little more than just cyber. Over 600,000 Facebook accounts hacked every day, not surprised. But the number one crime is the imposter scam, where someone is trying to make you believe they are the legit when they're not. Next, so has anybody here ever been a victim of cyber attack in some form that they know of? You can put that in the chat, say yes, no, I don't know. And more than anything else, I would say is how do we recognize it? So if you've been, if you've had some sort of hit in some form, whether you got that letter in the mail that says, we think we've been compromised and your account may have been affected, we're going to give you a year free credit report. So it could have been directly to you, or you could have been a victim because of someone else's issue. So we've kind of established, what's going on. And this is the one, somebody said phone calls, the robocalls have been heavy and hard. Believe it or not, snail mail is still in the picture here. Text messages, email, and I will include in person and physically, because when you go to an ATM machine, somebody may have physically compromised that reader that you're putting your card in the slot and is stealing information from you. Or I would say the problem with this as a whole is that it goes full circle. A compromise may have been a stolen piece of information, gave your card at a restaurant, somebody copied the number down. Now they go on the internet and they start buying stuff using your credit card information. So think of it as full circle. Somebody stole some information off of the internet, used that. Now they're knocking at your door saying, hey, I'm from your electric company. I came to look at your meter. So don't look at just the cyber side. It's coming from all directions. Thieves are everywhere, right? Since the beginning of time, if there's something of value that people think they need and want, they will be there. The cyber side is no different. All right, what is an attack? It's an attempt by an individual or group to compromise a computer system, network, or device with the intention of causing harm. And we need to look at harm a couple ways. It could be, I just want to get on and show people that, hey, look how good I am at hacking in and I can take control of the computer, but I don't want to steal anything. But obviously it has long evolved into it's big business, money-wise. Let's be realistic. So the term cyber attack or hackers may conjure up, sophisticated teams of computer experts with high-tech equipment. Yeah, they're out there. I'm digging in the code and I'm using that as a way to I'm going to get your stuff. And honestly, sometimes it's simple as somebody was able to guess your password. Not necessarily that complex and sophisticated machine out there that has complex algorithms that can do all these magical things. Yes, they do exist. But let's remember, these are thieves. They will play every corner they can. Anybody here know someone who says, nah, I don't do anything on the internet, and nah, I'm not having my stuff stolen, because that's why I never order anything. I never do this or that and the other. Well, if you go to a kiosk and you pay for something, chances are that little device that somebody's saying, stick your card in here to pay for what you're purchasing, guess what? That's connected to the internet. You're participating whether you plan on to or not. What we're looking at here, when we made the comment about easy to guess password, in the end, your behavior and your actions play a role. All right. What are possible consequences of an attack? Identity theft. I've known a number of people who've had their credentials stolen. They don't know where from. Again, it could have been an in-person event. It could have been across the internet, and someone opened up credit cards and other things under their name. Financial loss. If I gain access to your account, I potentially could send money all over the place, steal money from you, and drain your account. Safety compromise. As I said, somebody could show up at your door claiming to be whatever, and they can provide you with they got your information off the internet from someone or resource. They got information about you that they could try and utilize and say, well, we're here. Don't you have this going on? Also safety. If you're using a security system that you can monitor remotely, well, what happens if somebody was able to hack in, steal the credentials, and now they're monitoring your home remotely? And I don't know, I haven't heard of it happening very often. The problem is that the potential does exist. Personal and professional reputation. Yeah. So organization is about business. Well, if your personal or professional reputation in some way is compromised, it'll affect your business. And if somebody goes and defaces your Facebook, puts comments and things that you did not at all say, and someone sees it, it can actually cost you your job. But you know what? You can sit and say, I didn't do it. And they're like, well, can you prove that? And lastly, I won't say lastly, it's one of many things, destruction or loss of access to your equipment and information. Again, if somebody gets inside of your computer, they could cause damage, steal your data, and maybe even render your device or your data inaccessible. So here's all the work you ever did. You have your financials and all of the things related to your personal business gone. All right. So now we've talked about where we are technology-wise really quick. We've gone through what the exposures are out there and what they could mean to you and impact, how they can impact. More importantly, we need to help you understand how you can operate so that you can stay safe. All right. So how do you recognize some common scams? We won't go on yet, but I'd like some people to throw a couple of things in the chat. Let's say you get an email and it's from what seems to be your bank or some other PayPal or whatever. Or from a person or a business. Are there any things that you've noted you feel that gives you an indicator of some type of?
The Nigerian prince wants to give me more money.
There you go.
Or the email address domain doesn't look right.
Okay, good. So people are already very aware. That's great. So we have things like phishing attacks. I know certain people would not be asking by email. That's right. That's right. Like no institution should ever ask you for your email address and your account information and your logins. So phishing attacks are means in which someone is trying to get information out of you in order to later on use that against you, which could be, I'm trying to get your account number, your PIN. Oh, your account's been locked and you will not be able to access your bank. So click on this link and it'll ask you for all that information or other types of information they can use, for example, to open a credit card in your name. Next, imposter scam. Again, that person looks like it's from your bank. And I love the ones you get. You guys love the ones you get from credit card companies or banks that you have no account with. And they're telling you it's locked. It is locked. I've had a bunch of those. But these are imposters looking somebody legitimate, or it could even be a person you work with. Hey, the CEO of your company is contacting you. Well, you like, whoa, what does he want to know or she want to know? We immediately want to react. You won scams. This has become popular again. Don't you love it? You've won $50,000, but in order for you to get this money, you need to send us such and such and such. Maybe it's personal information. Oh, we need your bank account, your routing number, and your account number so we can deposit this money in. And they might want to say you also need to send us $100 for the processing fee. Let's look at some more common scams. Healthcare scams. I think we're getting a lot of these in the more recent years. Like, example, you can roll in our program. Our deal is better than anybody else's. And again, they're just trying to get information out of you, or they're putting you into trying to put you in. You don't have a was a Medicare Part X. I think it only goes to D. But again, there's a lot of scams, so they know healthcare is a big deal, and many states offer healthcare advantages. Again, they're trying to find opportunity. The tech support ones, and I know my dad had this one. I know I had it. Hey, we've detected you've got a virus. They call you up. You've got a virus in your machine. Can you help us? Can you let us log in your equipment so we can fix it? Never. Lastly, identity theft. We already touched on this. Has anybody, the last two slides, have you experienced any of these?
Yes. I think
Only one?
I think there's one right now where they disguises the voice as your child. So they get someone that you love or know, get their voice recognition software, and that person is calling you asking for money.
Yep. I love
and
the
Lisa said, I love the ones where Windows is calling to patch your computer software. And Tawana said the scam email is from a friend that always addresses you peace, but this time they address you as hi friend.
Gotta love it. And it was funny. You were talking about the scams where they call and say, hey, your child. The day before my son was getting married 5 years ago, my mother got a call that her grandson had a car accident and somebody was fatally killed in, I think, Pennsylvania or Maryland. I forgot where exactly. And, that she needed to send, X number of dollars to get him out of jail, some law firm. But they won't tell you what town it is, what jail it is, or anything like that. And my mother just asked me about it. I said, well, Mom, if he's got a clone, because I just left him 10 minutes. I just left him an hour ago. He's right here in New York. And I know my aunt had it. So they prey in particular on older people, trying to get them to believe that their grandchild is in some kind of trouble. And you're right.
Well,
voice recognition. Yes, go ahead.
I can tell you about one. Make sure when you get a Zelle transfer and they're asking you to send it, that you verify who you're sending it to.
Right.
It can be the email, and this happened to my friend just 2 weeks ago. The email was off one letter. Just one letter to an organization that she was supposed to send some money, a large sum of money. And it was time to pay a payment. But they said, we can no longer use the credit card you've been using, the platform that you've been using. Now you need to send it by Zelle. And the name that was on it was not a name that she was familiar with. And she didn't stop and call that person and ask. And she lost all of her money.
Oh
wow.
My gosh.
Wow. So you said something I'd say was really important. Check, call and ask. When somebody is asking something of you and it doesn't look normal, call and ask. You're 100% right. Thank you. Anyone else have any feedback?
Yes, this is Lisa Gibson from the New York chapter. I just recently partnered with my bank, TD Bank, and I'm talking about in the last 3 months where there's this texting scam that's going on, and it looks just like TD Bank's number. And they will text you saying, we saw that there was an authorization for $1,000 at Walmart. We need you to verify. And, did you make this charge? Yes or no? And if you say no, the next thing is you'll get a call from what seems like a regular toll-free number. And someone will say, hey, look, we got this. Can we verify this? Can you let us know X, Y, Z? Banks will never ask you for your password. They will, and also what you should never do, if you did not request for them to go and look at something in your account, this person sent me an authorization code. And I was like, I didn't ask for that. I don't know what's going on here, but let me just listen to see what they have to say. He kept going, well, we need to get authorization. So can you just read back that code to me? It turns out that while I was on the phone with him, they were actually trying to change the username and password on my bank account. And that authorization code would have given them total control of my account. And I found that out by saying, you know what? I don't know what's going on because I don't even see an attempt for a Walmart charge. So I'm going to hang up. And if I call back, will I get you? Oh, you'll get one of our representatives. I didn't dial the number back he gave me. I dialed the number back of my bank that I normally call. And they're like, we don't know. We don't see anything going on. Did they ask you for XYZ? And I was like, well, yeah. Did you give them an authorization code? Because we see that there was a password reset code requested. I was like, no. They said, good. Because if you had, you would have lost total control of all of your banking.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the other thing is the person on the other end did not have command of the English language.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
You
did
said
not.
something really critical here.
Yes.
They're not, this could be coming from anywhere in the world.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So I mean, the audience, you're hearing a lot of stuff here. Thank God, you know, you use good sense and you were savvy enough to ask the questions and not give that person. Always call your bank directly. Don't use any number they give you ever. Look on your bank card and call directly or to the or whatever the financial institution involved is. Do not ever listen to them. Yes. Thank you so much for that sharing that.
I'm Valerie Davis from the New York Club. I got a call from Con Edison one day. I was busy with my business and I'm rushing out the door and they said, your Con Ed is about to be turned off. And I'm saying, I don't remember us not paying the bill, but we could have been so busy that we forgot. So then he said, you have to go to CVS, you have to put it on a particular card. And I said, Con Ed has never done that before, but you're still busy. You're not figuring it out.
And it may not have been an inside job. What's happening is they're spoofing numbers. So that looks like it's coming from a legitimate number. Because have you ever gotten phone calls and you see names up there and you ever try to call the number back? It just goes in the darkness, the black hole, nothing rings or happens.
No, this one rang back. It rang back to them.
Bank. Okay, still somebody is spoofing the number from the inbound. It may not have been an inside job. It may be just someone's in the robocall capability. You can specify the source number. So they may have been using that. So so either way, we don't know. But you absolutely did the right thing. Call them directly using a legitimate customer service number, a different one, and ask the questions.
Right.
But you're so right. I have gotten two today, one from Baptist Memorial Hospital. I'm here in Memphis, Tennessee. And it used to be, if you see a long distance number that that's out of your code area, then you say, oh, no, not looking at that, not even thinking about answering. Yes. But now they have spoofed the numbers and they use our number, area code number is 901. So you glance over and you see the 901, you think you're safe. Then I see Memorial Hospital, and I don't know anybody or have any connection to Baptist Hospital. But otherwise, if I did, I might be like you, Miss Davis, and think, oh, this is legit.
No business will ever have you purchase debit cards to pay the bill. They will not have you Zelle them directly to them. I mean, yes, to your account, but not to anything other than that through their regular online resource. They will never ask you to purchase Bitcoin. Believe it or not, that one comes up.
Yes.
Or to give any sort of, bank, give me your bank account over the phone and none of that. All right. So what can you do? So we've talked about some things, people said they made the phone calls and they've made sure that they followed protocol to verify whether or not this was legit or not. But we have 4 things that we can do. And this is coming from the CISA, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency. recommendation for this year. So let's look at our 4 options here. Let's next one, please. So we'll see, here are your action steps. 1, enable multi-factor authentication. We will talk about each of these. 2, next one, please. Use strong passwords and a password manager. Next one, please. Recognize and report phishing. We've already had some discussion. This is a really on-topic group, I must say, but you're businesswoman and professional, so I expect it. 4, and I'm not surprised, update software, please. So what do we mean by multi-factor authentication? So basically, it's a mechanism to validate or verify by using more than one thing. So by enabling multi-factor, we will significantly, you're less likely to get hacked because we're using more than one thing in order to verify who you are and who you say you are. So let's go to the next slide, please. Is anybody familiar with multi-factor authentication? Does everyone here have an ATM banking card?
Yes.
All right. So what are the components necessary for a transaction? Hold off, Judea. Don't whoever's running the slide, don't click yet. What are the 2 things you need? You can either come out off mute or you can put it in the chat. What are the 2 things that you need in order to do a banking transaction? Now it's not even just the ATM when you go into the bank.
So I went the other day to the bank. So they asked me for my card and they asked me for my driver's license.
Okay. What else? ATM machine.
Oh, for the ATM machine. Because I went in person and they have an ATM machine, well, not the ATM, but the machine by the window. So you need your PIN number and you need your card for
Click through both of these. All right, exactly. That's 2 factors because somebody said there's a chip in the card, and that chip in your card, hold off here, go back. The chip in your card contains information about your account to log you into your account to do transaction, right? However, you also must provide that PIN, something you have. Go back to the next slide, previous slide. Something you have, your card with bits of information stored on it used to be a strip, now it's that chip that to give you access to your account. And then the PIN is something you know. So if you lost the card, no one could, in theory, use your account without the PIN. Even going into the bank now, you usually plug it in, they ask you to put your PIN, or you need some other identification. So one of the other ladies here mentioned she had to show her driver's license, some sort of government ID. That was 2-factor. Try to obtain a passport. You need about 10 factors of data about you to prove who you are. Birth certificate, some government ID, and then you're at something with your address on it, you pay a bill to. Those are all multi-factor authentication. Next slide, please. So let's look at it from the perspective today. So let's click one time. So when we do a transaction, all right, you're logging in, you put in your username and the password. And if New York, you definitely get this with Con Ed now. Next slide, please. You may get some sort of code. Oh, back up one. That's sent to you that says it can either come by phone call, text message, or email. And it's typically a 4 to 6-digit number. So it comes to your phone, your email, your designated email, your designated phone number on the account, and your possibly your designated I won't say house phone versus your phone for text messaging. And you will then also plug in that 4 or 6-digit number. And once you do that, hit next, please. Now you're authorized to access that resource you were trying to get to. That's probably the most common thing. There are many other things out there. If you're in the business world, or people knew a token key fob, so you plug this item in the USB port and that generated a code very similar that's good for a certain amount of time. Those are quite popular. I've seen them actually die down a lot. Biometrics, put your finger on this. If you verify who you are, get your fingerprint, eyes, facial recognition. All these are tools to do additional multi-factor authentication. Next slide, please. So that's one of the things you want to take advantage of it when you're given the opportunity. Sometimes it's annoying. I get it. So the other is using strong passwords or a password manager. The key is that the passwords is a really important element for online security because it is the method that you have created to authorize. Challenges we know about it. We have about a gazillion accounts, and which means we may have a gazillion passwords or one. We'll talk about that we use over and over. So a password manager is a great tool that would allow a system to store the passwords that are relevant to whatever you're trying to log into. But all you need to know is the master password that opens up the password manager. So if you have 600 different accounts, and you may be surprised at how many you have because we sign up for so many things, even if it's just for more social or casual use. But having that store that holds all that information can save us a lot of work of trying to remember every little password. But again, allow us to create secure passwords. Next slide, please. And now this is where we're going to get a little more interactive in a moment. So the best way to protect is to create complex passwords. The harder they are to crack, the less likely somebody can get in. So using upper and lower case, at least 8 characters or longer. I've had things tell me it had to be at least 12. Drives me crazy. Include a number or a special character or more than one of each. That numbers, you know what those are. Special characters, as you see, are examples here of other parts of the keyboard. Just recognize, depending on the application or system you're signing into, they may most of them require at least uppercase, lowercase. Oh, you have to give it at least one number and one special character, and something must be upper or lower and uppercase as well. They may force you to provide those. With special characters, they may not accept all the ones I list here, and there may be others I don't list here too that are on your keyboard. But try to make them easy to remember. That's a thing. You heard the expression passphrase before. Basically, look at the example here. This is a phrase. It could be a quote. It could be, Bible verses are great. Here it says, the 2 cows jumped at midnight. Instead of writing TWO, number 2, uppercase T, and the @ symbol instead of the number AT, and then exclamation mark at the end. So this is something I can remember, but it's not easy, something someone can probably easily figure out. So we're going to play a little game. Can we click on Password Monster? And it's also been dropped into the chat. So I strongly recommend that you try it out. Can you click on it? Where it says Password Monster at the bottom. There we go. So this is a tool that you may find really helpful. It allows you to create a password. Can you also click on the line that says show password? Up a little bit and to the right. And this will, there you go. We're gonna show them out. So could you type in what I had there before? The capital THE number 2 cows jumped @ midnight. And you notice the number of years. How long will it take for exclamation mark? How long will it take to crack it? Put the exclamation. See, now this takes 16 years for a password cracker to try and break this. But look, I put exclamation mark on the end of that. 65 years. This is now based on today's technology, the computer technology, to do a dictionary attack and try all the possible combinations. Look, we took off the exclamation mark. It went down to 16 years. Backspace is just the 2 cows jumped. Oh, someone put one in the chat here. It says, okay, now it went down to 4 days. Here's a new password. Can you clear this one out? So capital P, @ $, lowercase w, 0, R, D, numeric 1. Ooh, Judy, that's not a good one. That could be cracked. That one's been used too much. But see how it says.
And but
very-
but see, some people use the word password because they're not creative. But I want you to see, just as simple as using something that's being reused over and over, you get an idea, and it's telling you at the bottom, you know, using that password is like going through your front door. So you have to be very, very careful. And everyone, please take the time to click on that link and save it, and, you know, check some of the passwords that you have. So, and see the comments, right?
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. This is a tool to help you. And this is a popular one. You're 100% right. People will use this as a password. The A might be an @ sign, you know, but yeah, play with a couple more. Who's the type that's here? Is this Nikki or?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Mary Brown 1 is very neat, but put XX and 2 exclamation marks. Let's see what we get. You should see the strength go up a little bit. 4 hours. Yeah, we got a lot of work to do with this one. We got a lot of work to do here.
One thing I found when I was testing it was words that are typical. If you leave a letter off, it made it stronger versus not as strong. So where I thought I was making something really, really long, that was a long phrase with numbers, but just by maybe leaving off, like moving, leaving the G off, because it's not looking for that word.
Yep. And that's what we call a dictionary attack.
Right. So I would recommend, like, we say moving forward. And I was thinking like moving forward. Oh, I'm not typing it.
And now, okay. It's getting there, strong, very strong. And look at the difference. Wow, go take the word backspace on your word purpose. That's right. So that's what I mean. Look at 1 billion years without that E.
If you don't put the whole word in, it makes such a difference because it's looking for a whole word. So that's not really a word. So that was not English. Right. And that's what I saw when I tested it out.
And I think this is a great tool. I will not take credit for it. It was, someone shared it with me when we did the similar program with my sorority chapter about a week ago, and someone had gotten hold of it. I think this is amazing. So this is something that you can go in, utilize, come up with a logic. This expression passphrase is really taking a sentence, could be your favorite a Bible verse, and then you alter it a little bit. Something else that's meaningful to you, to help you generate your own password creation style. All right, so can we go back to the presentation, please? Hope folks found that piece a little helpful. I'm in love with it because I had to go play with some of mine. You got some, don't feel bad. I got work to do. Okay, we all do. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, we're still holding on time. Okay. The big no-nos, the word password, and the version that you saw with the P, @ sign, $sign, some substitution in there. Don't even put it on your list. Birthdays. The most common thing used are birthdays, particularly for pins. Names of family members. Now you can incorporate components, but again, stay away from that. Your address. Any consecutive string of a string of consecutive numbers and letters, as you see here, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Yeah, it could be, but no, it's going to get cracked. Make sure you're not recycling the same password across all apps and websites. There are people who pick one password, go back and use it for everything. Don't. Yes, casual sites that you don't have any financial related activities going on or personal stuff, you can get away with it. Your banks should all your financial institutions should have different passwords. Okay, they should not be the same. So if I have a American Express account and I got a Chase Bank account, different passwords. And I would also recommend avoid things that information people might easily pick up from you in a conversation or on social media. Again, it gets back like typically names, birthdays. So that kind of information is knowledge we put out there. Next slide, please. All right, recognizing and reporting phishing. So this was some we brought up already. The domain name is a public one. Like instead of being at citibank.com, it's at citibank@gmail.com. The domain name misspelled, and somebody mentioned before, it could be subtle, especially when you have like the letter I, very thin letters, the letter I, the letter L, T, can be very hard to recognize that there is an extra I in there, an extra L. Or Amazon, you might think you didn't realize the second A was missing. A poorly written message. Someone mentioned that one earlier as well. Next slide, please. It includes suspicious attachments or links. Infected attachments, suspicious links. You have to train yourself to look at those links. Make sure they make sense. So you can right click on it in the message, and it'll display for you. You can see what the whole string looks like. The message creates a sense of urgency. If you don't do this right now, your account will be shut down. And what do? We're reactive people. Make yourself stop. Like the woman mentioned about you leaving out, and Con Ed is going to turn your lights up. Of course, you're going to react differently. And someone asked, who do you report phishing to? The institution that it was used against. If it claims to be Chase Bank, call Chase. If they claim to be PayPal, call PayPal. Some of them have email addresses that you may find if you go into your online banking too, but report them. And the good part, the positive thing I am seeing, because it's getting recycled so much, a lot of mine gets blocked. And in my email, it winds up going into the spam box, but some do escape. And also I would designate those as spam going forward. And then also too, I find that even with text messages, I have a service on my AT&T that detects a lot of those and blocks a lot of the calls. Some of the text messages, but I can designate them and to be reported. So the institution is who I'd recommend reporting to. Sometimes there is nobody to report to. Spam it, put it in the spam box to try to block it or delete it altogether and never respond to any of the content, nor back to the individual who may have sent it. Do not, because that's telling them they reached a legitimate email address or a legitimate phone number they text to. So now they know you do really exist. And now they may share your information out with others to further try to compromise you. Next slide, please. You must always look very carefully. Again, someone mentioned that. I said, I love this group because you're very savvy and aware. So let's play a little bit. Let's take the quiz. We're only going to do 2 in the interest of time because it's 8 o'clock and I don't want to hold people up too long. But this is another one we can make available to you. And then, of course, we know it's behind. All right, let's make up a name in here. Don't put a real name. So it's phishing quiz is the name of it. And like I said, I did not, and a fake email, because it really doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a legitimate email. It's just being used for generating for these examples. And again, this is another one I suggest you go into, run through the quiz. About 10 of them, I think, altogether. We're just going to do 2. And we're going to try to guess if something is phishing or not. So we've got this letter. Hugh Johnson says he shared a link to the following document, 2002 department budget. He had there. Here's the document you asked for. Let me know if you need anything else. All right. Could you do me a favor? Where it says the to me, just below Luke's name, let's click on that. All right. Can we all see here? Does it look pretty legitimate? This is the information being shown. All right. Click that. I think you can click on the same thing. It'll close it back up. And then hover over where it says 2022 budget, department budget. Just hover over it. It's not popping up. It should at the bottom. Or it might if you go to open in docs. There we go. See, hang up. There we go. It says http://drive-google.com/Luke.Johnson. How many people believe this is phishing, and who thinks it's legitimate? Someone give me an opinion here? We'll choose that one.
Fishy.
Phishing. Okay, so let's click on phishing. And The word phishing. There we go. And it's, oh, I think it got cut off, but you are correct. It's cut off a little bit at the top. There we go. And if you go and it says to show me, you click on show me. This I think is a great tool. So when we moused over the link, notice that it said it was an insecure imitation. Number one, it didn't say HTTPS, it said HTTP. The S means it's secured, meaning it's being encrypted. The session's being encrypted. But the drive name, Google is drive.google.com, not drive-google.com. That's how we know this one was not legitimate. Let's do one more. All right, we got a new one. All right, fax message, no reply admin. Can you go to the drop down again, that little to me? And it's for a no reply message from at efaccast.com to Harvey Jones, who this person is, and the message, and unclick that now. We go down to the company eFax. They are a legitimate company. eFax does provide digital faxing services. And then now at the bottom it says http://efax.hosting.com.mailru382.co, and then eFax delivery and the number. Is this phishing or is it legitimate? Somebody put phishing up. What else? What does somebody else believe? And tell me why this time. Can anybody tell me why?
It's phishing.
Why?
Because the domain name is wrong.
Yep, that's one of them. There's actually two. The domain name
and the long URL.
Yep, the domain, exactly. So let's click on phishing, and when we highlight, we'll come out of here. But I do recommend, let's do the show me. Right, the eFax, that was one of them. And the next, the link. Click on that. The link is really, even though that it had some eFax in there, the final part of it was actually mailru382.co. So you need to look at the whole thing. This is why we say you have to take the time to look carefully, especially when you aren't expecting something. All right, let's come out here. And if you're expecting something too, security updates that help prevent an attack. So enable, if all possible, enable the automatic update feature. This means that they'll help ensure they're installed quickly. Do not use unsupported end-of-life software. I know you bought that computer, you paid good money for it. You bought it 20 years ago, but I bet that operating system on that computer is no longer supported by Microsoft. You can't keep running it. I mean, Microsoft and whoever, the application, nobody's patching the security holes, which makes you vulnerable. Always visit the vendor site directly. Sometimes you'll get a link. Hey, Microsoft has an update to Windows 11, a patch for Windows 11 release, September release. Click here. No, go to Microsoft directly or use the built-in software update capability. Do not click on those links. And avoid software updates from untrusted sites. Again, there are those out there, somebody's posting it. We don't know if this is a scam or just, if somebody's legitimately trying to make an update convenient or if it's a scam. But the big thing is make sure you maintain the currentness of your software. Again, if it's 5-10 years old, time to either just spend the money, get an upgrade, or find a different application to use if you can no longer maintain it. Next slide. All right, I want to say thank you for indulging me. I hope that by all means, if you have any additional questions, I'm impressed because many of you here are aware, but I'm not surprised because these are business ladies and they're professional women. So you have to stay on your game if you want your business to continue to operate successfully. A woman doing a job search, she received something from LinkedIn, generally a very legitimate source of saying, hey, we've got a job opening. She was young. People always, again, everybody's, we got to worry about the older generation. Listen, you could be 3 years old and be compromised. But she was in her 20s, and she said she got this job opportunity. It looked like a good one. She submitted her resume, whatever it was they asked for. They text her back and said initial interview was going to be by text. I've never heard of that. Never. And that was a big red flag, but I didn't, react to it the way I should have. And she says, I quote, went through the interview. They said I was hired. And then they asked me for all information, your typical job information when you're signing up for a job, which might be a canceled check so you can get paid, etc. But they were asking this stuff over the phone and also on email. You and I, all of us know that's now done. And now if you're doing it electronically, there's services that allow you to do that securely. It's not something you talk to an individual. And ultimately what she had to do was, she said, I realized it was all a big scam. There was no job. I immediately contact my bank. They shut down that bank account and established a new one for her.
Their check in there, and then once it looked like it was something going on, I told the lady that don't allow anybody to either put anything in or take nothing out of that account. But I took all of my money out and left their check in there. So if they was trying to draw any money on my money, they wouldn't have been able to get it because their check was the only thing that was in there.
Okay. Wow. Did they charge you for the quote insufficient funds or the bounce check or anything like that?
Because the check never cleared.
Okay.
It was something, what it was must have been a scam or nothing. The check never cleared. And then they said, I think when they first sent me a letter, they said, oh, it's taking a little longer for the check to clear because it was supposed to clear like a Wednesday or Thursday and hadn't cleared. So they said they were still checking into it to see what was going on. And then finally I got the check and they don't return it no more, or that particular bank didn't return it. They took a picture of it to let me know that they wasn't able to clear the check, and they sent me a copy of the check, but not the actual check back.
That's interesting. I'd be afraid. I wouldn't have put it. I'd be afraid if it didn't clear, I would be charged $35 or whatever.
No, but they could see that it was a company's check. But as soon as whatever happened, then they sent it back. And then I went back and put the money in. So they told me come back immediately and put the money back in. Because of course, at that time, it was zero balance. It was nothing. The account was actually closed because that check didn't clear. But I took all of my money out.
Okay. Wow. Scams every direction. This way. Any account can be hacked. And one of the comments is make sure that you have a really strong password when you set it up. A password format that you never test in Password Monster, but the logic, okay, it seems like if I add an exclamation mark, but I'll use question marks in real life. The structure is very similar. So you wouldn't have any exposure there. But it's only as good as your login ID for those accounts. Again, make them secure. And then the last one would be search on the internet some password managers out there and get some reviews.
I would like to give a huge shout out to our fabulous executive board. First, the 24th National President and CEO, Sherelle T. Carper, our National Vice President, Dr. LaTanya Conley, our Northeast District Governor, Evelyn Streeter Frizzle, our Northeast District Vice Governor, Nicole Graham McCarthy, our Southeast District Governor, Barbara Johnson, our Southeast District Vice Governor, Rita Daniels.